All right, we're back here on SportsLine, joined tonight by Tony Formosa of Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. First race of the season, the Hunter Sand and Gravel Night 59th season opener at Fairgrounds Speedway coming up this Saturday night. Gates open 3:30 on Saturday if you want to get in on all the action. As Tony said earlier, just $10. It's hard to get much more affordable entertainment, Tony, than that.
Well, I don't think that there's anywhere there is any more for affordable entertainment. So we give a lot of things away. We give away flat screen TVs. We give away money. We give away hats. We give away T-shirts. We give away car washes. We give away oil changes, compliments of Carl Black Chevrolet and Crown Ford. All the way to dinners from Uncle Bud's and different places like that. There are tons and tons of stuff. I'd like to have it to where everyone that comes at least gets something, if not the big screen TV, get your money back from the money drop or whatever, but we're all about family entertainment. We have bouncy houses for the children. If mom and dad want to sit there and watch the race and enjoy the race, the kids can go down and have a good time in the bouncy houses and whatnot. So we have a lot of different forms of entertainment and everything, but the biggest thing is it's only $10, and children under 5 are always free. 6 to 10 are half price. So we make it affordable for everyone to come there and have a good time.
Certainly is. Phone lines are 737-7767. We got lines open. We got a couple guys waiting. Let's go to Mike first. Mike, good evening. You're first up here on SportsLine with Tony.
Hey, Tony, I've got a question to ask you, sir.
Okay.
Maybe for one of your things out at the Speedway, I was wanting to know if you would maybe consider maybe having a night honoring all the old drivers like Dale Walter and maybe Davey Allison and all them show up with their old cars and maybe just make a lap and, show the fans the old cars that they used to race in the Speedway, maybe for a fundraiser, just to maybe get people to come out and see their old cars, how it used to be. Because I can remember when my mom and dad went there, and they've got pictures when Darrell Waltrip had the Gatorade car, and Richard Petty was there, and when he first started out with car 43. And my other question I have to ask, through my church, if we wanted to come up and maybe do a fundraiser, maybe for the homeless in Nashville, could we maybe come up and holler at you and maybe do a night like finish the lap for No More Hunger in Nashville and have people drop off canned foods to help us continue to feed the homeless in Nashville through my church? And I'll hang up, and thanks for your time.
All right, Mike, we appreciate the call. Let's start with the second one first. For people who are out there and might want to do a benefit night for a certain organization, do you do those?
Great question, and to answer your question, we're already working on fundraiser events for right now through the American Cancer Society, through Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, through St. Jude's Children's Hospitals. We've done that a lot. Wounded Warrior programs, and we're all about that. We do a lot of that, and you can come by the Speedway office anytime, normal hours between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday, and talk to me. I'll be more than glad to talk to you about that. That is one of the things that we're all about, and we do have a large list of charity organizations and fundraiser events that we're planning to have this year. You can call and speak to myself or Joe Carver Jr. He's in charge of that. He does a great job, and feel free to come and talk to us anytime you want to.
And what about the old stars, DW and those guys? Any chance that you can bring them back and get them in on night?
I have so many ideas. I'm so big on history. I ran my first race there in 1969 when I was 14 years old, and the Fairgrounds Speedways is the second oldest speedway in America, only to the Milwaukee Mile. It has the Indianapolis Speedway beat by 2 years, and there is so much history there. There's so many drivers sent their sons there. Dale Earnhardt Sr. sent Dale Jr. there. He said, go to Nashville. If you can win and race at Nashville, you can win and race anywhere in America. Bobby Allison sent Davey here and Clippert here. Richard Petty sent Adam here and Cal here, and I can just go on and on and on. The list of names goes on forever. So we are very big on history. And yes, it is a great idea having Old Timers Night, and we have plans of doing that in August for our, I think it's an August 5th event, where is our $5 night.
August 6th.
It is August 6th, I'm sorry. Will be our back to school night, our $5 night. We are looking at doing an old timers night, having a lot of old timers there, and possibly the ODW can come out and whatnot. He's real good about helping us out on different things. So great question, and we are very big on that.
That's usually one of your biggest nights of the year, the $5 night, and I imagine if you get the stars back, you're going to have a huge night that night.
It is, and we are also looking at doing a couple of special charity events on Tuesday night, because a lot of times, Steve, you can't get these guys, the country music singers and the NASCAR drivers. They're always busy doing their job on the weekends. So if we could have an event on Tuesday night or Monday night or Tuesday night, something like that, that's what we're looking at, having our special events, and I think they'd be a home run, especially a charity event.
I would think so. We've got some of the races on the screen. The opener to the season this coming weekend, April the 2nd. Again, the Hunter Sand and Gravel Night, the season opener for the 59th season at Fairgrounds Speedway. The next weekend, you have the ARCA Series in town. We're going to talk more about that coming up here in a minute. Then May 7th is the next race day at the Fairgrounds. June 4th. June 18th is the 4th annual Auto Fest. July 9th, you have a race day. You've got the back-to-school $5 night, August the 6th that we were just talking about. August 27th is a race day. September 10th is a race day. And then October 1st and 2nd, the annual All-American 400, which is always a hit out there at the fairgrounds. So a big season coming up here at Fairgrounds Speedway. Let's go back to the phones now. And Jay, thanks for waiting with us. You're on now with Tony.
Thank you. Mr. Formosa, I just want to wish you for a great season this year. I was a big, I grew up going to the track there, when we could, and my mom, she's one of the biggest. She's almost 70 years old, and she knows racing just about as much as anybody. But, I just when I was little, I got my picture made with you, and that was a long time ago. But anyway, I grew up watching all the legends, and you're right. I've heard a lot of interviews with all of these stars that have retired now. They all go back to the Nashville days. And, I remember going in the pits and meeting a lot of the drivers, and one weekend they'd be fighting, and then the next weekend they'd be helping each other with their car, and I always thought that was pretty good. But I just want to wish you luck and have a great season. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you calling, and it is one big family. You'd be surprised at the 70, 75, 80-year-old people out there. They call the Speedway all the time, with just to call and say hello, and thank us for the job we've done and the events that we put on and everything, keeping racing alive. And believe me, racing is very much alive and very much well at Fairgrounds Speedways right now.
Very much the case. And big credit to that goes to you and your team that has done such a great job over the last several years.
Well, I don't take a lot of credit. I have a great staff. I have a natural love and passion for the sport of stock car racing. I always have. My dad was one of the early pioneers that started racing right here in Middle Tennessee, and he started with Cuckoo Marlin and Bob Ruther and Jimmy Griggs and Marty Robbins and all those guys. They were all big friends, and I was growing up at that point in time, and I have just it's a natural for me. I love the facility. I always have. I've been going there since I was 5 years old. My mom told me, she said, the first time she ever brought me there when I was 5 years old, she knew what I'd been sent to planet Earth for. So she saw the fire in my eyes and the excitement, that I was having. I just always loved cars, and to me, it's my home. It's home to me, and I hope that I remain there and until I can't promote anymore.
Home to a lot of drivers as well. The thing, Tony, that always is interesting to me about the old-time, really cool, majestic venues, and you can talk different sports if you want, whether it's Fenway Park or Wrigley Field
Sure.
in baseball, or some of the great football stadiums that you go into. And I put Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway into the mix in terms of racetracks, but when you walk in there, you just get the feel of yesteryear. And I know you guys do all sorts of improvements to keep it up to date with the times, but yet it still has that old-time special feel. The popcorn smells the same, the grease, the oil, the rubber, all of that still smells the same. It takes you back in time to some of those great drivers, but yet you still have great racing today. It's a really special feeling.
It really is, and you talk about that smell, the rubber, the gasoline fumes, the noise that echoes underneath the grandstands and whatnot, and it's, it's, to me, it's like one of the seventh wonders of the world, how we have that huge overhang grandstand with no poles in it, and that goes, I forget the architect's name that designed that in the mid-60s, but it's a really famous place, a really super special place, not only to me, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and we're always open for suggestions on how we can make it better and make racing more exciting for the fans and the families.
And there's no bad seat in the house.
There is no best seat in the house. Every seat is a great seat. You can sit anywhere in the grandstands and you can see the whole facility. That is, believe me, I've been around and I've seen a lot of racetracks, and not knocking them, but I don't think I have ever been to a racetrack in my life where there weren't blind spots. Good racetracks where they have good racing, but if you can't see it all,
right,
it takes a lot of it out for you.
Not a problem at Fairgrounds Speedway, that's for sure. 737-7767 is the number. Back to the phones we go. And William, good evening.
Hello.
Hey there, William.
Hey, back in the days when old Harry Gant used to race down there, I heard old Tony was a big fan of his. Somebody stole Harry Gant's race car racing rig, and it never got found and all. And old Harry got mad and never did come back to Nashville. I just wonder if Tony remembered that and knew what the story was all about.
I do remember it. I remember it very well. And not only was one of Harry Gant's cars came up missing, but one of Darrell Waltrip's cars came up missing too. It was Darrell's car was a show car, but Harry Gant had actually came here and I think broke the record on Friday night qualifying for I want to say a Southern 300 or Southern 400, and the car was stolen out of the parking lot at one of the motels, I think around Murfreesboro Road. They did find the truck in Alabama, but it's, to my knowledge, they never found the car. They never found the car or the trailer or whatnot. So,
and he never came back.
I do remember that very well. I remember Harry walking around the racetrack the next day. He did come back. Actually, he came back in 1989 and ran a race here in 1989. 1990 he did because we actually filled a car for Dale Earnhardt Sr. and a car for Harry Gant. We used the same car and painted it as the Goodrich Chevrolet, and then changed it and painted it green and white, and changed it to the Skull Bandit car for a couple of weeks later. But he did come back, and but I don't think he ever found his car.
Wow. Quite the story indeed. Just part of the legend of Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Let's go to Brian. Brian, good evening. You're up next.
Oh, yes. I work with Nashville Retrospect, and we did a couple of articles on it. As a matter of fact, they purchased some advertising, one of the groups associated with them, to save the fairgrounds. I just have a couple historical questions. What year did it first open? Was it ever smaller? What's the length of the track? And have drivers ever started there and then moved up to a higher series, like what do they call it, the Bush or the Nextel? And did Burt Reynolds race there at one point? I heard a rumor about that or something like that.
He did. Barney Oglesfield raced there. The Fairgrounds Speedways actually started in like 1903 or 1904. It was originally a 1 mile horse racing track, and then in the early 1900s they started racing motorcycles on it, and then they started racing cars on it. So it was a 1 mile horse racing dirt track, and it had a cork underneath it. that was the actual base, and they claimed that it gave the old cars a lot of grip when they went into the corners because instead of them sliding, the cork base had a lot of resistance and grip to it. So I think in 1952 or 1953 was the last year that they ran the races on the 1 mile track. 1958 was the first year for the asphalt series, and it was originally a half mile. They cut it down and made a half mile low bank. In the mid 60s, they tore the half mile out and built I think 38 degree. It was the highest bank track in the world, steeper than Talladega. That track lasted for about 2 years. And it was so hard on equipment, so dangerous. I think there were 4 drivers that lost their lives there in 2 years simply because the track was faster than man versus machine. So machine was beating man, and so they lowered the banks, redid the track, and now it is a 5/8 with 14 degree banks, and plus we have a 1/4 mile track that's more of a flat corner type track in the middle. So we actually have 2 racetracks there, 1/4 mile in the middle, 5/8 mile on the outside.
And you use them both. This Saturday night, you got 8 divisions going.
We have 8 divisions.
6 are on the 5/8, right? And 2 on the 1/4 mile?
6 divisions on the 1/4 mile.
Well,
it starts with the Legends cars, which have the motorcycle engines in them. It goes to the 4-cylinder, more stocker 4-cylinder cars, then to the full body rear engine rear drive intermediate style cars, and then it goes to the really fast cars that we call the sportsman cars. That is the premier division on the 1/4 mile track. Then we move over to the 5/8 mile track. We run the limited late model. Then our number 1 division is the pro late models. So every race is 100 lap with the pros, and with the limited late models is 40 laps. So we have a selection. If you're just starting or you have a lower budget, we have a selection, a division for every budget that's out there.
Well, the cars out there run the gambit from basically cars that people threw together in their garage, so to speak, to some really heavy-duty investment and work to put in the best car possible.
$40,000-$50,000 race cars is our number 1 division, and then you can get one of these front runner cars, we call them. And by the way, we've got about 35 or 40 of them for this year. They're really cool amateur division with a lot of competition.
Tony Formosa from Fairgrounds Speedway is our guest here tonight. Phone line still open, 737-7767. If you'd like to get in and get a question or a comment to Tony throughout the course of the night. We'll come back after this break. Have much more on Fairgrounds Speedway opening race coming up this Saturday night. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.